Come on in, sit back and relax. You're listening to episode 190 of the WealthTech Today podcast. I'm your host, Craig Iskowitz, founder of Ezra Group Consulting. And this podcast features interviews, news, and analysis all around the trends and best practices of wealth management technology. Welcome to our monthly episode of news. For June, we have the following stories. 1, Pershing Insight Conference. A lot came out of that. Number 2, Redtail Client Portal. Number 3, iCapital's new alternative investment marketplace. Number 4, Smarsh and MyRep chat patent fight in federal court. Number 5, LPL hires new tech executives. Number 6, our roundup of AI news in wealth management. 7 is the Keats's Ezra Group map updates for June. And 8 are the integration score updates for June. But before we get started with the news, I have a message for you if you are the executive at a broker-dealer, enterprise RIA, family office, or TAMP. Your tech debt is holding you back. Your old software platforms are rusty and falling apart, and they need a complete overhaul or to be replaced entirely. Your disparate systems don't communicate with each other, and is driving your ops staff and advisors crazy with manual processes and other errors. If this describes your company and your tech infrastructure, you should run, not walk to our website, EzraGroupLLC.com, and fill out the Contact Us form on the homepage. Our experienced team can evaluate your technology ecosystem, deliver targeted recommendations, optimize your existing systems and operations, or run an RFP RFI and help you implement new software to help take your firm to the next level. You can take advantage of our free consultation by going to EzraGroupLLC.com. That's Ezra Group, EZRA, Group, LLC.com. A few quick housekeeping notes before we continue. We support a number of nonprofit organizations that do fantastic work for a variety of causes. And one you should check out is the Invest in Others Foundation, which you can learn more about at investinothers.org. Please subscribe to the show wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss an episode. And now, let's kick this thing off. And our first story. Pershing X is now Pershing Wove. It was a very eventful time that I spent at the Pershing Insight 2023 conference the first week of June. One of the biggest announcements at the conference was the Pershing X platform that's been under development for the last 18 months, launched on, I believe it was June 6th, with a new name called Wove. Now, this is a multi-custodial, interoperable wealth management tech platform. Now, this is one of the first new enterprise platforms on the market in quite some time. And we love competition at Ezra Group. We love new vendors coming out, new technologies. Now, some people may point out when it comes to wealth management platforms, especially portfolio management-centric platforms like Wove is, that I wrote an article 4 years ago now that said 50 portfolio management systems can't all survive. And there are a lot of portfolio management applications on the market, but most of them focus on RIAs. There are very few enterprise-grade, large broker-dealer, large enterprise RIA, really big iron platforms that can support some large-scale systems. So we're hoping that Wove can do that, and that they're moving into that market as well. And they're backed, of course, by BNY Mellon and Pershing, some of the largest providers in the space, public company. So they've got some good backing and good support. Now, they are pushing very hard on their ability to deliver a tightly integrated application to provide a seamless advisor experience, which they said a lot back at the conference. There was a good quote in Investment News from Chuck Thaler, president of Sovereign Financial Group, who described Wove as another example of the tech-custodian concept. First time I've heard of tech-custodian. It's a good one, Chuck. And it's a trend that is building momentum. You have custodians getting into tech and tech players getting into custody. I view that as a positive. That's what Chuck said. The highly competitive RIA space lends itself to these types of innovations that all try to increase efficiencies. I have to agree with Chuck on that one. So we had, as he mentioned, of course, most custodians have some form of technology. Certainly the biggest three, Pershing, Fidelity, and Schwab, and even the ones below that, the next tier, firms like Trade PMR, Altruist, Apex, all tech have very strong tech platforms. So it's not new that custodians are getting into tech, And we recently heard Investnet announce that they are going to be offering custody in partnership with FNZ. So we are seeing tech players getting into custody, but custodians have always offered tech. What they haven't offered is multi-custodial tech, because it oftentimes can be stated it's not in their best interest to do that, since they make their money from custody fees. But that's Pershing is bucking the trend. Now, there was a couple of good reviews of the platform you can read online if you want really in-depth reviews of the feature functionality that came out in this version 1.0. Of course, it's the first version of the platform. There's going to be more in the future. And we've seen the roadmap, and it is impressive that they've really pulled out all the stops in building out this platform. But of course, the first version can't have everything in it, or you wouldn't have a roadmap. You can read over at the T3 Technology Hub by Joel Bruckenstein, and he has a good review of the Wove platform, and talking about the things that aren't there yet. According to Joel, multi-custodial capabilities are not fully built out. Notifications are limited to native Wove applications. Straight-through processing of trades is not yet there, nor is location-sensitive, tax-sensitive rebalancing at the household level. Again, not surprised. These are very complicated features that I wouldn't expect in the 1.0 version of the platform. Now, Pershing has made it clear that they are going to be adding third-party applications and integrations to their Wove platform, but not like TD Ameritrade did, where it was basically a smorgasbord, a universe of every application. They're only adding ones that will be best of breed in their opinion. Wove currently supports only 2 financial planning applications, Money Guide and Conquest. If you haven't heard of Conquest, they came from Canada and primarily based in Canada at the present time. And now Pershing made an investment in Conquest and now is integrating with them and building their financial planning tools tightly into Wove. Pershing also announced collaborations with a number of other firms integrating with Wove, including Pontera for held away assets, PureFax for billing, and the biggie Salesforce for CRM. So what level of integration these firms will have into Wove, we don't know yet, but based on what the CEO Ashley Simmons is saying, it should be hopefully seamless and tight with a lot of abilities for advisors to use them inside the platform. Now, one of the biggest issues, the biggest benefits of the Wove platform is it supports multiple custodians. Now, that's the plan, and of course, it's not available yet. There's some questions about how exactly this will work, since most tech vendors have to SSO, single sign-on, into Fidelity or Schwab, the other 2 big custodians, if they're going to use the new account opening and onboarding workflows. Now, that's a bit of a bifurcated user experience for advisors, that they are in the application, going through the process, and they need to switch over to the custodian website to finish their workflow. And that's a bit of a pain. It's been that way for many, many years, but it's a bit of a pain for a lot of RIAs that we work with and firms we talk to that have to do that. And we're not really sure why Fidelity and Schwab require that. Most of the vendors I spoke to didn't want to speak on the record. Again, I'm not a journalist, I'm just a consultant with a blog, but they didn't want to comment. I guess they don't want to rock the boat with their partners at Fidelity and Schwab. Now, I did speak directly to Ainsley Simmons, CEO of Wove, when I was at the Insight conference, and she confirmed that they've negotiated agreements with both Fidelity and Schwab to gain direct API access to not only account opening, but also other functionalities such as money movement and intraday cash updates, things like that. So it sounds like they are going to be building a very tightly integrated, seamless experience that may be different than other vendors, or maybe not. Maybe they're leaving a little bit of wiggle room here, that they're going to do it very similar, and that they'll open the accounts most of the way and then hand off to the custodian. We do not know. We'll have to wait and see how that works. Other aspects that came out of the Pershing conference that I liked, a revamped NetX investor portal with integrated real-time chat with advisors or operations, and lots of other integrations, including financial planning tools like Money Guide Pro. And they also redesigned many of the screens to display more data in more intuitive layouts on the NetX investor portal. They just launched a no-code builder for the NetX investor portal, a no-code rather configuration tool. where you can customize the look and feel of almost all aspects of the NetX Investor Portal using basically a wizard rather than having to deal with developers or call it Pershing to manage the stuff. So you can do it yourself. Another very cool thing I liked about that was presented at Pershing, demoed to me, built into the NetX 360 Plus, not NetX 360, but NetX 360 Plus, is Next Best Actions. This is super useful, I think, for a lot of firms where you can look across all of your clients and it sorts them by a proprietary algorithm that shows which clients have actions they recommend that you take. So those could be things like, hey, this client's been adding money to a particular account or depositing money into a specific account for saving or for retirement or for college for X number of months or years, and they stopped. Is something wrong? Or this client has a CD rolling over, or this client has been on the website 15 times today, maybe you should call them. So those types of data being gathered across the entire user base of an RIA or a broker-dealer could be very useful for advisors to help them identify outliers, identify tasks that they need to take care of. We're expecting to see a lot more of this type of technology, both next best actions, as well as chatbots, large language learning models, where you can interact with the platform just through a chat interface, such as things like, hey, I need a form for a deposit. I need a new account opening form. I need whatever particular information you need from the custodian. Just type it in English into the chatbot, and it returns the information you need. That's really the future of a lot of reducing a lot of the customer support requirements by empowering the users to talk directly to the application. So the Insight Conference went really well. We really enjoyed seeing the Wove platform. Looking forward to the next versions of Wove as they add more capabilities. Our next story in the news: Orion launches a new client portal for Redtail CRM. I'm working on an article, and the article is going to be called "Don't Bring Me Another Client Portal." And the reason that's called that is that was a conversation I was having with a broker-dealer client. When someone mentioned, hey, there's a new client portal, not this one, but not the Redtail portal, but another portal. And this is the CTO of the broker-dealer said, don't bring me another client portal. It's the last thing we need. And the reason is most firms, and if you're out there, if you're running a wealth management firm, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You've got minimum 2, most likely 3 portals. One is your custodian portal, whoever that might be. Number 2 is your portfolio management system has a portal. Number 3, your financial planning software most likely has a portal. If it's eMoney or MoneyGuide Pro, for example. So that's 3 portals, and especially with RIAs that have this problem, their websites, when their clients log in and they want to know how to get something, they've got 3 options. Well, do you want to check your portfolio holdings? Click here. Do you want to look at your financial plan? Click here. Do you want to check your statements from your custodian? Click here. Very confusing for advisors. So I'm always interested when a portal's coming out that's going to fix this problem. And there are already a lot of portals. If you take a look at the Keitz's Ezra Group WealthTech map, which you can find every month on keitz's.com, there is a client portal category, and we have 7 products in that category. You might be thinking, well, 7's not too many. Well, that's just the ones that are only client portals. Because remember, on the map that Michael and I work on, every vendor can only have 1 logo for the most part. So the 7 logos in the client portal category are just products that are only client portal. However, there are 11 all-in-one platforms that have their own client portal as part of the platform. 3 financial planning tools, that's besides eMoney, which is in the client portal category as well. 3 other financial planning tools that have a portal. There's 22 custodial platforms and broker-dealer platforms that have portals. So let's say 7, and 11 is 18, and 3 is 21, and 22 is 43. So 43 different portal choices. Plus you've got client file sharing options like Box.com, Dropbox, ShareFile. That could be another website they have to go to. So lots of options for firms to have to pick and choose between. So this portal from Orion, according to the company, it's the industry's first CRM with a connected client portal. Now, Orion acquired Redtail Technology back in 2022. And with that acquisition, they were able to procure the services of the wonderfully lovely and talented Brian McLaughlin, former founder and CEO of Redtail, and now president of Orion Advisor Tech, who gave me the opportunity to speak with him about this new portal. So it sounds great, like everything we'd ever want. It's flexible, it's expandable, it's integratable. It should be able to handle a lot of the things that firms are using multiple portals for, assuming they can get it all built out. Now, the Orion, of course, has both an investor portal, or client portal, and an advisor portal. And both those things are running. So this will be another portal for Redtail clients. And how they handle it, I would imagine they'll merge their existing client portal with the Redtail portal in some way, shape, or form. According to Brian, there will be beautiful engagement for account onboarding through the portal. You'll be able to look at financial planning features and reports. You'll be able to look at your portfolio tied in on that portal, the Redtail portal. And advisors will be able to customize or rather configure their own portals, turning on and off features, hopefully through some sort of wizard or simplified configuration option. According to Brian, the new portal will be available to all Redtail clients by the end of June. That's this month, just another 10 days. And pricing, all Redtail plans will include the client portal, which I'm sure makes broker-dealers very happy. Now, Orion clients, they don't, of course, they don't overlap exactly. The Orion clients and Redtail clients. I think when they first announced the acquisition, they said there's about 2,000 or so clients that use either Redtail or Orion, but not both. So that's a huge upsell opportunity for both firms. Existing Orion clients get Redtail technology included in the package, so it's basically free. And it also will include the Redtail Speak product, which is their texting compliance tool. Just going through my notes here with Brian, a couple of interesting points I didn't want to forget. Now, advisors can also launch the Orion proposal generation tool and the new account opening wizard directly from Redtail CRM, allowing them to create and deliver proposals in a fraction of the time while streamlining the account opening process. We love integrations here at Ezra Group. The more integrations we see, the happier we are. It's always better for advisors if they can stay inside their application of choice and access other features and functionality. We talked about integrations. We talked about other opportunities here. And one of the things I was always interested in with Redtail, and I'm glad I got to talk to Brian about it, is the issues we had with Redtail being lacking some enterprise features. For example, each Redtail database, if you're a broker-dealer and you've got a bunch of OSJs working underneath your corporate CRM, if each one has their own Redtail version, those instances are discrete. There's no way to roll that data up if you wanted to see a consolidated report across all of your clients, across all these different OSJs. You can't do it because each Redtail instance is discrete. However, they've now, with new integration with Amazon Redshift at Orion, they can now pull data right out of Redtail, suck it into Redshift, and pump it into Salesforce. Oftentimes, the home offices at the broker-dealers use Salesforce, and the individual RIAs underneath will use Redtail. We always had a big issue. You had to export the Redtail databases by hand, put them into something else, move them over, massage it, big pain. But if this works the way Brian says it works, it's going to be so much easier for broker-dealers and TAMPs, RIA aggregators that have multiple RIAs or practices, teams underneath them that have discrete Redtail instances to just pump this through Redshift. Really love that capability. We're really looking forward to this new portal, if it can do everything it says it can do, that it can unify a lot of the capabilities that advisors have to launch multiple portals for. If it can handle all these functionality inside of one portal, we'd really appreciate that, guys. So please do it for us, please. But we will be seeing soon what comes out of this new client portal. And the next story we have on the June news, iCapital launches a one-stop shop for advisors seeking alternative investments. A recent study shows that 70% of advisors are using alternative investments in their client portfolios. Advisors are currently allocating an average of 7% of their assets to alternatives, and they anticipate increasing this allocation to 10% over the next 2 years, revealing a growing interest in the category. I also checked into a couple of the surveys, and they're all showing around the same numbers: 67, 68, 70% of advisors using alternatives, which is up from 59% in the first quarter of 2022. So definitely rising. Probably the market volatility and other issues are driving more interest in alternatives. And we're seeing a lot more firms like iCapital launch marketplaces that enable and facilitate advisors access to a wide variety of different alternatives. For example, the global alternative assets under management are expected to increase to 23 trillion by the end of 2027, up from 14 trillion at the end of 2021, according to the latest Preqin data. So that's a huge market for alternatives. Now, given the S&P has not been faring well recently, more investors are seeking alternatives, as also for things that aren't tied to the S&P. We're even seeing articles in Forbes about alternative investments. Now, the new iCapital marketplace was developed using the firm's proprietary and patented technology, noting the platform provides an all-digital investor experience that bridges the structural divide that has historically separated asset managers, advisors, and clients from alternative investments. There's lots of other tools out there that we've been seeing that iCapital is now joining this club to have with this marketplace. Other marketplaces such as Case, Halo, Luma, Simon, and Joe Lonsdale's new platform called Opto. So certainly a lot of new platforms out there giving advisors more choice, which we like. Let me just take a quick break from this interview to talk about the Invest in Others charitable foundation. I'm fortunate enough to be participating in this charitable organization, and they give me the honor of every year helping to judge some of the charities that are going to be awarded money. And you can get money for your charity if you are a financial advisor or an advisory firm. And you can also participate in a program that Invest in Others is running called the Charitable Champions. This recognizes financial advisory firms that give back to their communities. Let me just read a little bit. This is on their website, investinothers.org. The Charitable Champions recognizes financial advisory firms that give back to their communities by promoting a culture of philanthropy amongst their financial advisors and staff. You can submit your firm name to the organization. The application is already open. The deadline is July 7th, and the winners will be announced August 16th. Submissions will be evaluated blindly by a panel of advisors based on criteria including leadership and culture, events and activities, incentives, contributions, and impact. Now, I'm not a judge on this. I judge usually advisor charities, and it's very difficult to do that kind of judging because they give us 10 charities with 10 advisors, and we have to decide which advisor gave the most back to their charity and helped them the most. It's really tough, but all the money is going to a great cause. So please go to investinothers.org, and if you are running a financial advisory firm, sign up for the Charitable Champions list. Here we go with the next story. Compliant text messaging vendors slug it out in federal court over patent dispute. Text messaging has become a critical channel for client communications. And did you know that 80% of all consumers prefer to use messaging to communicate with businesses? Text have a 98% open rate. I didn't know that. Compared to email with only a 20% open rate. And 90% of the text messages are read within 3 minutes of receiving them. Those are pretty impressive numbers. So it's important for advisors to be able to text message with their clients, and of course, important for it to be compliant. And firms are required to make these communication methods compliant, usually using software with sophisticated capabilities, such as, of course, archiving every text that goes out, and then also lexicon blocking, so blocking certain types of messages or certain phrases, customizable workflows, automatic regulatory updates, and of course, archiving integrations with archiving tools or other different systems. So those are some of the key aspects of the different software that are compliant messaging tools. So the vendors that provide the tech behind two of the biggest vendors in their space, or the other technology behind vendors products Smarsh and MyRepChat. The technology is provided by two different companies. One is called Cell Trust. They provide the tech behind Smarsh's text messaging archiving, and a company called IonLake. I apologize. IonLake builds technology, and their product is called MyRepChat. So Cell Trust sued IonLake for patent infringement. Now, according to the article, and this is the only one I've seen on this, so there could be other context I may be missing. I apologize if anyone wants to fact check this article in Investment News. But that IonLake, Smarsh, of course, is the leader, and Cell Trust is the leader in the industry. But then MyRepChat started coming on and grabbing a lot of business, closing some deals, and according to the article, then Cell Trust decided to sue them. So whether that was justified or not, apparently the jury decided it was not. They sued them for $2 million, claiming patent infringement or violating their patents. But a federal jury found that not only did they not infringe on the patents, but those patents from Cell Trust were invalid. Now, reading the text in this article, again, it's not a detailed description of the case, but it sounds like Cell Trust wasn't patenting specific code. It was patenting a process for archiving text messages. I've got an opinion on this in general. I don't like patenting processes. A process is something that anybody should be able to do. It's the patent office, the patent process was for specific technology you create to solve a problem, not the process for solving the problem. Again, just my opinion. A patent attorney may see it differently. But if this is truly what Cell Trust patents are about, just the process of archiving text messages for advisors, I don't see that. I agree with the jury that it's not, that those are invalid. And that's the opposite of what the patent system is for. This is squashing innovation or squashing competition, not protecting specific technology that you built. So basically, there's no impact on anyone here. No one's going out of business. As we said, they found the patents to be valid, so everyone keeps going. Smarsh and MyRepChat keep selling their products, and you can find them at smarsh.com and myrepchat.com. LPL expands technology team with 2 more executive hires. LPL Financial, a broker-dealer which supports over 21,000 financial advisors. Wow, that number is big. Announced Thursday that it added Nitesh Ambasta. I apologize if I'm butchering your name. Nitesa Ambasta. Apologies for the mispronunciation. And Christy Edling Day as Executive Vice Presidents and Group Chief Information Officers. Ambasta will oversee technology experience for investors, while Edling Day will handle the digital experience for advisors. That means she's in charge of ClientWorks. This is big in my mind. Because we interact a lot with ClientWorks through firms we work with that are under the LPL umbrella. Also LPL, we've done some work for as well. ClientWorks platform has really improved over the years, become a highly capable, fully end-to-end wealth management platform. So Edling Day, who's now in charge of ClientWorks, joins the LPL after 17 years at Vanguard, where she most recently served as the Chief Information Officer and Head of Technology for the asset managers, financial advisor services, and institutional investor groups. Now, Ambasta will focus on delivering new products for prospects in client management, custodian clearing services, practice management, and wealth planning. He will also lead investor-facing functionality in the Account View client portal. Ambasta joins LPL from JP Morgan, where he was their Chief Technology Officer. This is a common practice for LPL. They've been hiring a lot of executives from wirehouses. For example, they hired Vivek Papu, former head of advisor platforms at Merrill, and they also hired Kabir Sethi, who was Merrill's head of digital wealth. They hired him away, and now he's chief product officer for LPL. You can check out our interviews with some of the LPL's executives. For example, episode 164 was with Kabir Sethi, and episode 158 was with John Rajesh, and we spoke about the Affinity program, which is how third-party vendors get access to ClientWorks with integrations It's a great listen on that podcast because of how important it is to understand how the Affinity program works. If you want to get access to 21,000 potential advisors for your software, knowing how to get into the Affinity program and knowing what you need to do, how your software needs to be able to integrate is important. So we covered that with John, and it's also why it's important to hear they're bringing a new executive on in Christy Edling Day to run ClientWorks. So looking forward to seeing the changes coming forth in the ClientWorks platform. Oh, you can check out LPL Financial at lpl.com. Due to the overwhelming number of products out there in the wealth tech space, advisor tech space, that are building AI features, we decided to create a dedicated segment during the news just for AI stories. So here it is. AI stories this month. At the Pershing Insight Conference, there was a breakout panel called Leveraging Data with Artificial Intelligence. And there were two speakers, and I've got some notes here. Unfortunately, I don't know which one said which, but I'll tell you who the speakers were. It was Priya Gore, Managing Director, Data and AI at Microsoft, and Susan Emerson, SVP, Global AI and Analytics from Salesforce. And just note, we'll be having Susan on the podcast in a couple weeks. Top 5 barriers to AI adoption in wealth management. Number 1, cost of the technology. Number 2, lack of trained staff. Number 3, not enough supporting infrastructure. Number 4, lack of adequate testing. It's important. Number 5, concerns about trust and ethics. Some other great points made during this panel. Every public company should expect to be asked about their AI strategy on their next analyst call. Don't put your corporate data into a public AI model like ChatGPT or Google's Bard or anything. If you do, you're basically handing over the right to use your data for learning and to generate new content. So your corporate governance must be in place and enforced when it comes to AI. Second AI story, Catchlight using AI for email generation. Catchlight is a company we've covered before on this podcast and also on the blog. You can check out, we recently had them on episode 146, Leveraging Artificial Intelligence to Improve Prospecting for Advisors. Catchlight is a tool that improves the prospecting process for advisors. It reviews the advisor's pipeline of prospective clients and then orders them in a way that they believe is more conducive to closing the deals and provides the prospects that are higher propensity to close or to convert based on their financial complexity. It's a great tool. It's gotten a lot of traction with advisors. And now they have a new feature, AI-generated emails that advisors can send to those prospective clients that they recommend they talk to first. So it's built into the platform. It leverages generative AI in conjunction with their lead insights to develop, to create emails that are personalized to each prospect. So each email is unique, and advisors can, of course, make edits or generate a new one based on their objectives. So it's an evolution of the whole prospect engagement process, which I think is going to be changing significantly as tools like Catchlight become more popular, become integrated with all the popular CRMs, and makes it ubiquitous for every advisor to have these kind of recommendations, sort of a next best action for prospecting. Next up, FMG launches ChatGPT integration for social media caption. Another great use for generative AI, anything around social media, working on editing blog posts, summarizing posts, unsummarizing, expanding on bullets. Both those areas are great for a generative AI model. We use it at Ezra Group. When we do a blog post, we often run it through a ChatGPT to summarize it, to pull out the top bullet points. We also, when we're doing projects for clients, our strategy work, we usually transcribe every call, record and transcribe every call for the clients, and we do a summary of the call. And the software that's doing the summary is getting much better. I mean, we're doing fewer and fewer edits on these meeting summaries. It's getting much more powerful. So FMG, which is the digital marketing firm Financial Advisors, announced a new enhancement where they already offer social media content for advisors, but now they're offering captions, the ability to build the caption. So normally the social media, or rather the content curation tool like FMG would provide a bunch of social media choices, content for an advisor to post either blog posts or newsletters or posts on different channels, whether it's Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn and so forth. But the advisor would have to write their own caption about the content. So now they're using a generative AI and they're personalizing what they're calling the voice print profile. Well, it's more of the text print profile. It's how the advisor writes. So they say they're capturing information, learning, their model's learning about how each advisor likes to talk or how they like to write when they're talking to clients, writing to clients, and it's modifying the output based on that. Love to see if that's working the way they say. So I thought you really need a lot of information, hundreds of data points before you can deliver that type of learned output. But maybe they've got something better. So you can check out FMG at fmg.com. Next up, Pulse 360 Rephrase AI Writer. Pulse 360 is software that automates meetings for advisors. It automates all the tasks around prepping for meetings, executing meetings, and following up on meetings. Saves a lot of time. It's very efficient software. They've added a generative AI addition to their software, which is specifically trained for the way advisors communicate. So similar to what FMG is doing, but this is for all advisors. So you can, of course, go to any generative AI, Bard or ChatGPT, and ask it to summarize something or to condense something, and it'll do a decent job. But what Pulse 360 did was train their version of generative AI on just the advisor's world. So it should deliver much better and more accurate output that requires less editing than the vanilla ChatGPT, which was trained on a wide range of data across multiple industries and casual and formal. So what they're calling rephrase at Pulse 360, which you can find at pulse360.com, is available to anyone using the software and allows you to write more concisely, to condense longer communication that you're sending to a client, or expand a couple of bullets into a full paragraph. Very handy for advisors to make technical advice easier to read, and vice versa. So check them out at pulse360.com. Our last AI story, Orion reveals ChatGPT integration. So with their purchase of Redtail, which we mentioned in an earlier story, Redtail have been working on some artificial intelligence features for a number of years. I know I've spoken to Brian McLaughlin about it in the past, and now they're coming out with this generative AI extension that's going to be plugged into Redtail Speak, their compliant texting platform. And well, it also links back to an earlier story where we were talking about compliant texting. And a third of advisors already view AI as the most disruptive technology trend facing the industry. And I think that stat came from before last November when generative AI exploded. So bringing ChatGPT extension into Redtail Speak is going to be very helpful for advisors. That what they're saying is that they can see the potential to feed data points into the system, and the AI will suggest ways that advisors can talk about portfolio analytics that go beyond traditional reports. Brian McLaughlin, the president of Orion Advisor Tech, said Speak was the most natural place to put that because it's conversational. He doesn't think they have any deadlines per se, but they want to make sure they go and explore all the different avenues as quickly as possible. So that should be out soon. And that's a wrap for our AI segment of the news. And now one of my favorite parts of the news is talking about the Keats's Ezra Group Advisor Tech Map updates for this month. So what do we do? A lot of changes this month. Not so many new products, but other types of changes. Lots of category changes. This is something Michael and I do on a regular basis, sort of ad hoc as things occur in the market. New products come on, new features and functionality. Vendors are acquired and other types of things. It changes the nature of the industry, and it sort of changes the nature of the map as well. As more products come out in certain categories, we may expand the categories, contract them, change them, just to make it more, because again, this is a tool for advisors. So we want to make it as helpful and as useful as possible. So the changes this month, we changed the category of proposal generation to sales enablement. And a lot of that was driven by the Riskalyze rebrand to Nitrogen and to a growth platform, which we consider a part of sales enablement, because now this Nitrogen platform isn't, they used to be in risk investment data analytics or risk tolerance. And of course, the growth platform is not just a risk tolerance platform anymore, nor is it just investment analytics anymore. Riskalyze also had prop gen, and now it's Nitrogen. So they could be in prop gen, but it didn't really describe the full capabilities of the new platform. And a lot of these proposaling tools also offer other capabilities besides just proposal generation. So PropGen is now sales enablement, which you think is a better description of this category. And I expect it to grow. I expect a lot more firms to find new ways to help advisors nurture prospects. As Nitrogen put it, they sit between the marketing tool and the investment management platform and sit on top of the CRM, where they provide that added value in between there. So a lot of these other tools also do sort of a similar capability set. So sales enablement, new. And Nitrogen is now moved there. They're no longer in the risk tolerance category, or I'm just double check before I say this, they're no longer in investment data analytics, but you can find them in the WealthTech directory, which is also on Keats.com. So in the directory, since it's a database, you can have as many secondary categories as you want. On the map, you only get one category. Other changes. We changed student loan, specialized planning, student loan subcategory to the more broader education, which I think fits a lot better to some of these, because they weren't all student loan related educational tools. And the final change, social media archiving category is now communications archiving. Since there's other types of archiving, texting is not social media, but that archive is included. Websites, not social media, is also included in this archiving and other types of things. So generic communications archiving is now the category. Firms, products that were added to the map this month, 7 new products. One is OpDevice, which was added to specialized planning other. It's a debt and loan management tool. You can find it at optivice.com, OPTIVICE. Caribou was added to specialized planning healthcare. CaribouWealth.com, just like the animal caribou, and they are healthcare planning. Grayminders, or sorry, that's the problem with some firms' names. G Reminders is, I think, how they want this pronounced. G Reminders, GREMINDERS. But if you look at it as one word, it's reminders. greminders.com, automated scheduling and reminder solution for professionals. And they're added to scheduling. Then Raymond James, their RIA custody unit, has their own custodial platform. So they were added to the custodial platforms section. They're at raymondjames.com. Current Client is an advice engagement tool. It's basically around client education. So they want you to keep connecting with your clients after you onboard them, keep nurturing them. So this isn't sales enablement, even though it's nurturing. It's more of, as we mentioned, advice engagement. And it's a lot of it is about education. Current Client, just like it sounds.com. And finally, Monarch. Monarch has been added to the client portal section. It is a client portal with personal financial tools. I did meet with the team behind Monarch, and I believe one of the founders came from Mint, was one of the original people at mint.com. So clearly a lot of knowledge about personal financial management, and they built this tool. I haven't signed up. They gave me a free trial to test it out. It looks pretty cool. So check it. Their website is monarchmoney.com. Not potential removals. We do remove applications from the WealthTech map when they go out of business, which is rare, or when they're acquired, which is much more common. Two products were removed. 20over10 was removed from Advisor Lead Gen. They were acquired by FMG. And Genivity was removed from Specialized Planning Healthcare. They were acquired by Lumient. Before I finish this segment, someone posted when we post the map update every month. I can't remember if this was LinkedIn or Twitter, but they said, "Hey, this market looks really fragmented because there's so many vendors on the map." It may look fragmented. What I replied was, "This map is not market share related and not market share based. It doesn't describe market share, although it's something Michael and I are talking about how to show more on the map and show market share, maybe by reordering the logos left to right, upper left to lower right as market share, or make the logos. I thought make the logos bigger or smaller. I was always a joke I had with Michael about the size of logos. Like if I was making a company, I would call it Craig Iskowitz, wonderful fintech, amazing company, and make the logo all those words because I would take up the whole map with my logo. So it is a little logo skewed If you take a look at the map logo-wise, you see that some logos stand out at you just because of how they're designed. And those companies aren't necessarily the ones that have the most market share. So it's a fragmented market in terms of market share. In most of these categories, there's two or three leaders that have the 80-20 rule, that have a significant portion of the market. But it just looks, we put every logo on the map. As long as you can demonstrate you have a website and you are selling software to advisors, we're going to put you on the map, because we really can't keep you off, because the idea is to show advisors all the choices, and someone new with no market share, maybe something interesting that advisors want to work with. We're not judging the capabilities or the strengths and weaknesses of any of the applications. So not a fragmented market, but more choices is always a good thing. And the final segment of the news is the integration score update. This is my favorite part of the news, talking about integrations. What have we changed? So we always update our integration scores in sync with the Ezra Group WealthTech map. So what I just mentioned, the new products on the map now will all be scored and available on Ezra Group website on our WealthTech integration scores page. You can check out the scores of all these new products. We do also update scores as vendors come out with new features and functionality or the new integrations. They let us know, and we update their scores accordingly. So there's a whole bunch, I think there was 16 or 20 updates this month as vendors added more integrations or built out existing integrations. Because remember, the depth of the integration is the most important part. That's 50% of the score. The breadth and usability is also 50%. So building one deep integration is going to get you a larger increase in your score than building 5 single sign-ons, as an example. So we're always adding new applications, and we're also every quarter we're going to look at the methodology and see if we need to tweak it a bit. It's kind of like Morningstar does with some of their analysis. The star ratings sometimes get tweaked. We're tweaking the integration score methodology to make it more accurate, and we haven't updated it in a while. So this is the first update since last August, when we came out with the integration score. And what this changes to, again, make it more accurate. And we also want to encourage more deeper integrations, as I mentioned earlier. So the scoring methodology is based on 3 underlying criteria: depth, breadth, and usability. And depth, we modified it to include all integrations rather than just focusing on a group of 25 or 30 key applications. And we also increased the benefit if you have any integrations with a depth of 4 or 5. So we want to encourage that and discourage the spamming of integrations. So the end result of that depth change was firms that had fewer integrations but deeper integrations saw their scores go up a little bit. And also firms that had some deep integrations but a lot of lower integrations weren't penalized. Because if you use a straight average, if you would use a straight average, let's say I had 2 integrations, one's a level 5, one's level 1, you just average them together, that's averages to a 3. But a level 5 integration is way harder to build than a level 1. So we wanted to give them some benefit for that. So there'll be some offsetting of level 5s for some lower integrations, which will slightly increase the score for firms that have deeper integrations. We changed the breadth score slightly. Again, it's only 25%, so it doesn't impact it too much. And we did expand usability a lot. And the reason we did that was we wanted to focus more on the capabilities of APIs and the documentation in APIs and the support for developers. Because just having an API doesn't mean anything if the developers can't use it. If there isn't enough documentation, if there isn't sample code, if there isn't a developer sandbox, if you're not using good authentication software like OAuth, then the APIs aren't as useful. So we expanded the data we're gathering under usability. Again, it's only 25% of the score, but it does increase some scores slightly or decrease scores slightly if they don't have those capabilities around their APIs. So you can check us out on our website, EzraGroupLLC.com. There'll be an update every month. We post a blog post on WealthTechToday.com. Those 2 sites are linked. You can look up everything we spoke about there and keep up to date on the WealthTech integration scores. And before I forget, if you are a WealthTech vendor, please reach out to us to make sure you fill out a survey so we have the enough accurate data about your integrations. Because right now, when we do our scores, we're only going based on publicly available information, such as on your website. So if you have other integrations that aren't on your website, please reach out to us, integrations@EzraGroupLLC.com, and we'll get you a survey link, and you can fill out the survey and give us all the information about your integrations. And I guarantee your score will go up because we'll have more information, right? If we don't have the information, we can't accurately score you. All right. Well, congratulations. You've reached the end of another episode of the WealthTech Today podcast. Thanks for listening. Please go to our website, EzraGroupLLC.com, scroll to the bottom of the homepage, and subscribe to our newsletter. Once a month, you will receive an email chock full of wealth management goodness, news, information, updates. You will not be disappointed. Thanks again for listening, and talk to you all again next time.